Hello, my wonderful friends. It's me, Klaire. Did you think I was done flapping my gums about grant writing for artists yet? I'm terribly sorry, but I'm not. You're incredible. And even if you have zero plans to apply for a grant, that's okay. I'm happy you're here. I want to offer you a follow-up to the Artist Grant Advice Extravaganza lecture, along with a little bit of a pep talk. First, I'm going to delve into a little bit of art history nerdery by reading you Jackson Pollock's application for the Guggenheim Fellowship. Don't worry, it's short. Then I'm going to do my best to encourage you as you embark on your next project, whether it is art-related or not. This mini art history lesson and pep talk is part of the curriculum at the Unaccredited College of Klaire. As founder of UCK, I want you to know that I create these resources for you because, you shouldn't have to go into debt up to your eyeballs to learn about art. To find additional materials, please visit patreon.com/Klaire Lockheart. That's patreon.com/KLAIRELOCKHEART. I'm going to read Jackson Pollock's Plans for Work, which was his 1947 application for the Guggenheim Fellowship. I'm not quite sure what the application requirements were for the Guggenheim about 80 years ago, but I'm going to guess they weren't as rigorous as they are today. When I taught modern art history, my students would get a little agitated after reading this text. I don't want to tell you how to feel before I share the piece with you, but I do want to provide a little bit of context. Full disclosure, I admire Lee Krasner, who happened to be married to Jackson Pollock. She was an abstract expressionist painter, and she's also one of the reasons Pollock became so famous. It's because of her dedication the Pollock-Krasner Foundation was established, and I've directly benefited from her hard work because I received a Pollock-Krasner Foundation grant. With this in mind, I have to disclose that I'm not the biggest fan of Pollock. I'm especially not a fan of his domestic abuse. Everyone has a line where they can and can't separate the art from the artist, and this is one of mine. Anyway, regarding Pollock himself, Peggy Guggenheim commissioned him to make a painting in 1943 for the entrance of her home in New York. The painting is almost 20 feet wide and it's titled Mural. It's currently at the Stanley Museum of Art at the University of Iowa. I also want to mention that Peggy Guggenheim was the niece of Solomon R. Guggenheim, who founded the Guggenheim Museum and the Guggenheim Foundation. The Guggenheim Foundation hosts the Guggenheim Fellowship, and together we'll read Jackson Pollock's application from 1947. This is part of Jackson Pollock's application for the Guggenheim Fellowship in 1947. The original document is part of the archives of American art within the Smithsonian Institution. Plans for work. I intend to paint large movable pictures which will function between the easel and mural. I have set a precedent in this genre in a large painting for Miss Peggy Guggenheim, which was installed in her house and was later shown at the large-scale painting show at the Museum of Modern Art. It is at present on loan at Yale University. I believe the easel picture to be a dying form, and the tendency of modern feeling is towards the wall picture or mural. I believe the time is not yet ripe for a full transition from easel to mural. The pictures I contemplate painting would constitute a halfway state, and an attempt to point out the direction of the future without arriving there completely. I chose to read this to you not because I think it is a representation of great writing, nor do I want to rip it apart. Instead, I wanted to share a real example of a grant application submission from a world-famous artist. I selected Pollock's plans for work to share with you in case you're ever worried that your writing isn't good enough. Pollock was famous during his lifetime. His paintings currently sell for hundreds of millions of dollars, but his writing wasn't all that spectacular. I'm comforted by this because it means that my writing doesn't need to be perfect, and your writing doesn't have to be perfect either. Even if you're a writer, your writing doesn't have to be perfect. If you're applying for a grant, a job, or even just writing a social media caption and you start to feel overwhelmed, I want you to think back to Pollock's Guggenheim application. He didn't get the grant, but he's still famous and his paintings are in museums worldwide. I almost said, and he turned out fine, but he didn't. Please don't use Jackson Pollock's life as inspiration for yours. If you want more context about Pollock, please check out the Abstract Expressionism episode of the History of Modern Art with Klaire. You can listen on pretty much any podcast platform, and it should be easy to find since my name is hated by spell check because it has a K at the beginning. Anyway, I know you do and make great things. Part of being a creative person is trying out new things and taking risks. Sometimes that involves paperwork, like if you want to apply for the Guggenheim Fellowship or another grant. This can feel intimidating, but I don't want that to stop you. If famous artists like Jackson Pollock can submit applications like the one I just shared with you, this means that your application stands a real chance. Don't get intimidated by who else is applying. Don't think that your proposal won't be good enough. Let the jurors decide whether or not they'll select your project. That's their job. My hope is that after reading Pollock's fellowship proposal, you'll feel motivated to tackle your next project. It could be something huge, like putting together your own Guggenheim submission, or something smaller, like planning a photo shoot, starting a sketchbook, or writing a letter to your friends to share what you've been up to this year. No matter what your next project is, it's important that you start it, and I hope you now have the confidence to finish it. Thank you so much for joining me as I shared Jackson Pollock's application for the Guggenheim Fellowship titled Plans for Work. Good luck on your next project, and if you need additional resources for grant writing, please visit the Unaccredited College of Klaire by visiting patreon.com/Klaire Lockheart.